rise either exponentially or gradually is dependent on what Nigerians do. If we decide to be careless because restrictions have been lifted, then we would have a peak that, if we are not careful, it can overwhelm even our health infrastructure. Liberty, you asked whether about the CBN stimulus and the fact that they've been allotted to cronies or politicians. I'm a politician, but I've not received any allotment for my cronies. So I assume that no other politician has received that. I believe that we need to educate our people and tell them that you don't access government money with that ease. There are processes, and we've taken the liberty of explaining the processes here. Go to the website of the central bank. You will see the categories that have, there are different stimulus. One for 50 billion, meant for the entertainment and the hospitality industry. 100 billion for the health sector, manufacturing, hospitals, and the rest, and pharmaceutical business. There is a stimulus of about 1 trillion naira meant for the agricultural sector. But all of them would be procured through a process. You must have a company. You must justify that it's being negatively impacted by COVID-19 before you can access the money. And the capacity of your company will determine what portion of that money you will get. If it's micro or macro, if it's a household, everything is detailed on the website of the central bank. But our people always assume that once government announces a particular program, the next day everybody will sit on the street expecting that it will be dropped at its laps. There is a process. So please, as media practitioners, explain to our people that they need to go through that process. To the best of my knowledge, there hasn't been any sharing to cronies or politicians, and I believe that whoever is legitimately entitled to any stimulus from the central bank, he will get that. There was a question, there was a question you asked about correctional centers. Which other one was that? Okay. The Minister of Interior was with us at the meeting, but he's not here now. He heads the Nigerian Correctional Service. We'll find out from him because truly, this moment, we don't encourage people congregating. That was why even the batch of the NYSC that were on, they didn't have passing out parade. They were given specific dates within which to come and collect their discharge certificates. So as much as possible, we try to discourage assembling people in one place so that we can, as much as possible, protect people and slow down the rate of transmission, particularly in our communities, because we know where we are now. We know that the responsibility has been shielded to individuals. Let's not depend heavily on what the governments would do. Dr. Brian was very explicit in his in his statement that I quoted copiously. I hope the media people will make my today's remarks available to you so that you can read it and digest it. Because basically what I'm saying today is that the battle has been transferred to each and every one of us. What we do will determine the outcome of our response at the national level. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman PTF on COVID-19. Before we close, I wish to inform you and inform Nigerians as well that going forward, the national briefing will be holding on Mondays and Thursdays of the week. It will no longer be a daily national briefing. The time will still remain 4 p.m. Well, we've been served a lot of reminders this afternoon. You've heard from the quote from Dr. Brian Kalina Wegan. You've also seen the clip that was shown. But let's take something home out of all of this. Our change in focus to community engagement and risk communication is underpinned by the fact that the war has shifted from the hospitals to the community. The numbers that we reel out every evening are real and should be taken very seriously. You and I have now become the frontliners, while the hospitals have become our last line of defense. Our actions are critical. We should take responsibility. We should change our behavior, be vigilant, report symptoms, seek help early, avoid large gatherings. Finally, remember to wear your mask to prevent transmission. Observe social distancing, personal hygiene, support community testing, submit to isolation, prevent exposure. They all represent our fighting opportunities to stop the spread of COVID-19 before we develop a vaccine. God bless Nigeria. We hope to see you on Thursday. I thank you very much.
All right, the Presidential Task Force, their daily briefing just ended. Let's continue with the news. Let's bring you the update on COVID-19. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has reported 403 new COVID-19 cases in Nigeria, bringing the total of confirmed cases to 16,085. The breakdown of the new cases shows that Gombe has 73, Lagos 68, Kano 46, Edo 36, FCT 35, Nasarawa 31, Kaduna 17, Oyo 16, Abia 15, Delta and Borno 13, each, Niger and Rivers 7 each, Enugu and Ogun 6 each, Kebbi 3, Ondo, Anambra and Imo 1 each. The NCDC says of the 16,085 cases, 5,220 have been discharged, while 420 have died. All right, earlier at the start of the news, we called a report on President Muhammadu Buhari's concern over the state of the nation, particularly rape, when he summoned the Inspector General of Police. So that report is ready. Let's take it.
Although rape is not a new phenomenon in Nigeria's crime history, but the alarming increase in cases of the dreaded scourge in recent times, especially during the COVID-19 lockdown, leaves much to be desired.
The Nigeria police so far from January 2020 till May 2020 recorded about 717 rape incidents that were reported across the country. 799 suspects were so far arrested, with 631 cases conclusively investigated and charged to court. And we have 52 cases that are remaining under investigation.
And this worrisome development informed IGP Mohammed Adamu's summon by President Muhammadu Buhari for briefing. The meeting is a follow-up to the resolution by the Federal Executive Council to do whatever it takes towards stopping the heinous acts and bringing perpetrators to justice. Details of their discussions held behind closed doors were not made public, but the IGP, joined by the Ministers of Information and Women Affairs, told newsmen that the Nigeria Police is prepared to collaborate more effectively with other security agencies and NGOs towards ensuring that cases of rape and gender-based violence are dealt with appropriately.
Just to tell you that government is doing something seriously to curtail this type of offense. I will call on every Nigerian that has or comes across any victim of sexual offenses, of rape, or gender-based violence to quickly report to law enforcement agents, because keeping it without reporting it will give room for the perpetrators to continue to commit the offenses. It is a very serious offense. It is very wicked of an individual to engage in rape or defilement. Some are doing it for ritual purposes. Some are doing it because they sit within the family and they see the victims and they feel the urge to go into it and do it. But such people should not be allowed to go scot-free.
He expressed formal appreciation to NGOs and civil society organizations that have the capacity to deal with such offenses for supporting law enforcement agencies in the area of capacity building to effectively manage victims of rape and gender-based violence in Nigeria. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Right, following the PTF daily briefing that just ended, we now join our correspondent, Mitari Ikpen, to give us a brief summary of what played out. Mitari.
Ruth, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, the issue that dominated today's briefing was that of the concert held by popular entertainer Naira Marley over the weekend, which was held in clear breaches of the regulations and guidelines of the Presidential Task Force, especially as it has to do with social distancing and the ban on mass gathering. A lot of questions were on the lips of many Nigerians as to how the entertainer was able to come to Abuja from Lagos and return irrespective of the ban on interstate travel and domestic flights, which are still in force. But the Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, did not wait for those questions to come before providing answers in the course of the briefing. The minister said the flight was actually approved by the Ministry of Aviation for Honorable Justice Adefokwe Okoje to be flown to Abuja by private air carrier for essential service. The minister said the judiciary services was considered to be essential even amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. But that the private air carrier, known as Executive Jet Services, clearly breached the approval given by the Ministry of Aviation to convey Honorable Justice Adefokwe Okoje by including Naira Marley and any other passenger that was included in that flight, which fortunately led eventually to the much talked about concert and the breach of protocols and regulations of the Presidential Task Force. Consequently, the Minister of Aviation announced that the operations of the private air carrier, Executive Jet Services, have been suspended forthwith, and also severe sanctions and a fine will be meted on the private air carrier as well as the captain of the flight. And so those are some of the issues that dominated today's briefing. Another issue that dominated the briefing was also from the PTF chairman, Mr. Boss Mustafa, who frowned at the continued breach of its regulations, warning that relaxation of the lockdown, gradual easing of the lockdown, is subject to review. The PTF chairman also warned state governments against the reopening of schools without any directive to that effect from the Presidential Task Force, saying that it will be premature at this time to do so. And maybe lastly for now, the PTF says all Nigerians are now frontliners in the fight against COVID-19. The Presidential Task Force urges all Nigerians to take responsibility and speak up against any form of irresponsibility that could arise in the fight against COVID-19. So those are the highlights. It's back to you, Ruth.
Mitari, for that highlight today. We're not surprised that the Naira Marley show raised a lot of eyebrows on the social media, but good to know that the authorities involved took the necessary action. Thank you very much, Mitari.
Thank you.
Okay, so before we went to the PTF briefing, we're having a conversation on the World Awareness Day, on the Awareness Day, World Day for Elder Abuse. It's an Awareness Day celebrated every 15th of June. And we have Dr. M.M. Omokaro in the studio earlier. And thank you so much for your patience. She's still here with us. Thank you. So before we joined the PTF, you were answering a question on loneliness, which is one of the psychological problem, elderly people face as a form of abuse. How can that be addressed?
First, I have to put it in context of pre-COVID-19 and during COVID-19.
Okay.
Pre-COVID-19, yes, you because of living arrangement and frankly because of ageism, that stereotypical attitudes, the prejudices, negative attitude about older persons leading to discrimination and isolation. So the older person actually could be living in a family arrangement with family members, but is invisible. Of course, you know about the technology, the digital divide, where everybody's on their phone, everybody's on their Facebook, and the older person is there, totally isolated and separated. And of course, also the attitude that older persons really cannot learn, they cannot adapt, they have nothing to offer, so they are always cut out and left out in activities. And now we see during COVID-19, because of the stringent measures to save life, you see the lockdown and the social distancing, especially with the toll of COVID-19, especially on older persons. Now that's separation. So now COVID-19 has intensified that loneliness, really deepened that isolation. And like you said, it's very distressing. And it leads to some kind of functional decline, distressing psychologically. So did you ask the question, what should somebody do?
Yes, like how can that problem be addressed? Because loneliness is something everybody faces, but for them.
Now, generally, that problem can be addressed by policy responses that will encourage social engagement. For instance, the president in 2018 signed the Senior Citizen Center Act, which commends the building of senior citizen centers across the country. Yeah. That would be one way of addressing isolation and loneliness. And then I know that act now empowers the Director General to now develop social interaction programs, sports programs, and all kinds of activities. So you can imagine if you have such a center, now that is a respite for older persons. And then you have community interventions. You have the churches, the mosques that should develop programs to promote social engagement, and of course families. The fact that somebody is old does not mean that somebody cannot learn. We have lifelong learning opportunities. So these are ways that we can still have and embrace our older persons, and when we realize that they still have a lot to offer, they are caregivers, they have a well of wisdom, they are experts in all their fields. So when we now realize that they still have a lot to give, then we now integrate them into society.
Thank you very much, Dr. M.M. Omokaro. I wish you can continue, but we're pressed for time, and keep up the good work with what you're doing. We all hope to age gracefully, and it's a collective responsibility to support and help and protect our elderly. Thank you. She's the Chief Executive of the Dave Omokaro Foundation. Right, let's head to Lagos right away to join Hingino John Adams for more Nationwide.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has reiterated the commitment of his administration to massively invest in quality education during the COVID-19 period. This is with the aim of improving e-learning and guarantee a brighter future for the younger generation. Nosa Osula has details.
Schools across the world are getting creative with online options to keep students safe and healthy at home. This, according to residents, is a welcome development as it gives pupils and students who may be new to virtual teaching and learning to acquaint themselves with same.
In advanced countries, that is the essence of open university, or what we call distant learning. So it has been part and parcel of the education system globally. So for that we are also catching up on it, I think it's a credit.
With schools still shut across the state Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu explained that government is deploying devices that would be useful to keep school children busy and focused on their studies, while stakeholders in the education sector meet to agree on protocols for reopening of schools.
We need to aggressively improve the quality, the learning outcomes of education, but we needed to do it using technology as a strong enabler for that to happen.
The governor assured residents that the state government would spare no effort to improve the learning and teaching environment in schools across the state. In Lagos, Nosa Osula, NTA News.
The Nigerian Air Force has unveiled a cenotaph in memory of Reverend Sister Henrietta Aloka, who died while evacuating students at the Bethlehem Girls College in Abule Ado pipeline gas explosion. Ken Egbeluge completes the story.
On March 15, 2020, a heart-wrenching incident occurred and will forever be remembered by Nigerians and students of Bethlehem Girls College, Abule Ado. On that day, the administrator of the school, Reverend Sister Henrietta Aluka, met her untimely death as a result of pipeline gas explosion that rocked Abule Ado area of the state. After successfully rescuing the student from the inferno, she lost her life in the process as it was too late to save herself. For her heroic act, the Nigerian Air Force decided to immortalize her by naming a hall at the Air Force Secondary School, Shasha, after her.
I am convinced that the story of her heroic act on that fateful day will continue to light a path for the younger generations and the ones yet to come on the value of selfless service to humanity.
By her action, she exemplified the good shepherd who put the protection and safety of her flock well above her personal considerations.
We hope that this will be a lesson for others, that when we lead, that we should be ready to make sacrifice for our lead.
Until her demise, Reverend Sister Henrietta Aluka was a beloved teacher and principal of Bethlehem Girls College in Lagos. Ken Igbeluge, NTA News.
That's it from Lagos. We now take a break. Nationwide continues with Ruth in Abuja after that.
I wish to once again commend the frontline workers across the country who, on a daily basis, risk everything to ensure we win this fight. For those who got infected in the line of duty, rest assured that government will do all it takes to support you and your families during this exceedingly difficult period. I will also take this opportunity to assure you all that your safety, well-being, and welfare remains paramount to our government. I am using this opportunity to express our deepest condolences to the families of all Nigerians that have lost their loved ones as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is our collective loss, and we share your grief.
This is a very important message. Operation wear your mask, especially for people who don't old. No forget, your body no tranga like before. You not even tranga like your children or your grandchildren. So therefore, always wear your mask for this pandemic period. No they to receive visitors, so even if na your grandchildren. Make extra mask where you go fit wash. Make like 2 and that's your number 1. And if you come out for house, wear your mask always. And if you come back, wash your hand with soap and running water. To avoid coronavirus, make you for live long for your children and your grandchildren. No forget, Operation wear your mask, especially for people who don't old. Protect me, I protect you. Na coalition of societies for the right of older persons in Nigeria, COSROPIN, join body with National Orientation Agency, NOA, bring on this message.
Wetin be this coronavirus thing? Na true?
You see this coronavirus, will be COVID-19. Now the whole world palava, and it don't they kill many people for China, Italy, UK, US, Spain, and even for other country them.
Okay, wetin come be the reason wey dem say make everybody tanda for house?
Now because if they waka pium go carry am from person wey don't get am, you go carry come give your family them. Now so the thing take they kill other people for other country.
Okay, wetin come be that social distancing sef?
You see social distance. Now make we no come close because this thing now from air and touch now we dey contact am. We suppose dey at least 6 foot away from each other every time.
So okay, no be only to wash your hand and to sanitize them alone.
Make we not take this washing of hand thing take play, but make we come together, join hand as we take pursue Ebola, pursue this coronavirus. Make we be each other keepers now.
With the Premier League's Project Restart in full swing, Arsenal will be hoping for a restart of their own as they try to push for a European spot when they take on Brighton. Watch Brighton versus Arsenal on Premier League Live this Saturday from 2:30 p.m. on NTA and NTA Sports. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Access Bank and Baba Ijebu.
Thanks for staying with us. Benue State Governor Samuel Otom says despite the ravaging spread of coronavirus, there is hope that Nigeria will achieve food sufficiency in the midst of the pandemic, going by the federal government support being rendered to farmers across the country. The governor was speaking during fertilizer distribution to farmers. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu reports that the fertilizers were provided by NEMA.
Investigations show that 21,508 farmers in 21 out of the 23 local government areas of Benue State have been affected by flood, hence the federal government support to the victims. The beneficiaries commended President Muhammadu Buhari for the volume of support to farmers so far, stressing that this support will have a positive effect on bumper yields.
The yield is so bad that we need the fertilizer so that we improve our harvest.
Thank Mr. President for giving us this opportunity. We are very happy.
Governor Samuel Otom described the gesture as timely support to the farmers, adding that it will enhance bumper harvest. He commended President Muhammadu Buhari for the high level of commitment in seeing to the plight of Nigerians that are affected by one form of disaster or another.
We appreciate the President, we appreciate the Minister, and to assure you that we'll continue to do the needful to support your programs here in Benue State.
Director General, National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Air Vice Marshal Muhammadu Muhammad, expressed the agency's commitment in fulfilling the desired support of President Muhammadu Buhari to farmers affected by flood. He said the agency had earlier distributed agrochemicals, seeds and seedlings, as well as fertilizer, which is the final phase of the support.
Our visit, which is the flag off of distribution of fertilizers approved by Mr. President under the Emergency Agricultural Intervention Program.
114,430 bags of the fertilizer out of the 170,704 bags due to Benue State have been delivered. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu, NTA News.
And at this point, let's head to Kaduna to join Suleiman for more Nationwide. Suleiman.
A coalition of women advocacy and pressure groups in Kaduna, led by the state chapter of Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA, has added voice to the clamor for more decisive and punitive measures against rapists. This was at a peaceful rally staged by the women in Kaduna to raise awareness against the calamities of rape and defilement. Achari Maxwell has the details.
We say no to defilement. We say no to rape. We say no to sodomy.
Veronica Uwela, a promising young undergraduate student, will have been looking forward to the reopening of her university by now, like her mates at the University of Benin. But for a gruesome act of inhumanity, she went through in the hands of a sexual predator who raped her to death. Her dreams and expectations of her parents have been shattered forever. Vera's story is just one out of very few that got to limelight, as thousands of such cases of rape and their related consequences remain unreported.
If 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old girls or boys are being defiled, to me it is even more grievous than rape of an adult. We are calling upon the law, the legislature in our state to please look at these laws and make the punishment for defilement death by hanging.
Other women organizations are on the same page with FIDA.
It is also about going out to sensitize our women and also our children so that they understand what rape is. To be raped, whoever is caught, be hanged.
As concerns and expectations towards the societal calamity heightens across the nation, these concerned mothers have vowed not to rest until definitive measures are being taken by relevant authorities to salvage the society from the ills of rapists. In Kaduna, Achari Maxwell, NTA News.
Kaduna State Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has trained and deployed over 150 special troops to deal with the menace of armed banditry that has been posing serious threat to agricultural investments in the state. The report.
With a mandate to protect critical national assets, public utility, and law enforcement, the Kaduna Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has, in compliance with the directive of the Commandant General of the Corps, Abdallah Gana, trained 150 agro rangers at the Katsina College for Disaster Management. The rangers have, in the course of the training, acquired skills to protect public and private investments in agriculture from especially banditry activities.
We are ready. We have a squad that is always 24 hours. As you call, we move to the location.
The command has already posted the trained rangers to 12 agricultural bases in Kaduna State, which include National Food Reserve Agency, Federal Ministry of Agriculture Development Project, among other agricultural investment sites, to proactively engage and decimate assailants who are bent on sabotaging agricultural practice in the state and beyond.
We have staff that are adequately trained to ensure that they're able to curtail all security challenges, particularly this time around when the rainy season is beginning.
The Commandant also appeals to residents of Kaduna State to collaborate with the Corps with a view to achieving greater success in the exercise.
And that is it from Kaduna. Kemi is standing by in our Ibadan Network Center for more reports on Nationwide. Kemi, it's over to you.
Thank you and welcome to Ibadan. In a bid to ensure quality healthcare in the nook and cranny of Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde has inaugurated a primary healthcare in the Palace of Alaafin of Oyo. Ayomiko Ajibola reports.
Inaugurating the newly renovated and equipped primary healthcare center, Alaafin Oyo, Governor Makinde said his administration intended to build and upgrade one primary healthcare center in each of the 352 wards across the state.
Yes, health is one of the pillars that this administration is standing on, and primary health care is even more important.
Stakeholders who spoke described the giant step taken by the governor on health sector as a landmark achievement.
Prompt remittance of civil and public servant payable premium to the agency have enabled the underlisted achievements within the 12 months. In addition to these renovated facilities.
This is certainly one of the criteria to assess the level of development in a society. Putting quality infrastructures in place to make life comfortable for the people.
The governor, who had earlier visited the Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Lamidi Olayiwola Adeyemi III, also inspected facilities at the temporary isolation center with over 40 bed space in Awe, Oyo town. From Oyo, Ayomiku Ajibola, NTA News.
The need for traditional rulers to align with government on its developmental stride has been stressed. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde stated this in Shaki Town while presenting staff of office to the newly installed monarch of the town. Ayomiku Ajibola again reports that the governor was represented at the occasion.
Governor Seyi Makinde assured the people of Shaki and the entire Okeogun
that his government will complete all ongoing projects in the zone, while new ones will also be initiated and executed.
I wish you to sustain your trust in my administration so as to enhance and drive for good governance that will engender peace, security, quality education, effective healthcare service delivery, sustainable value chain agriculture, which will attract foreign investors and bring forth a prosperous economy.
I equally want to implore the government to see to the establishment of an eye center in Shaki that can provide services to the whole of Okiogun.
And I see him as a jolly fellow guy. Now we will be able to move together and move Okiogun forward.
The installation and presentation of staff of office took place more than 7 years after the demise of the former monarch who joined his ancestors in 2013. From Shaki, Ayomiku Achibola, NTA News.
And that does it from here. Ruth, it's back to you.
Kemi. For Nigeria to stimulate economic growth, achieve diversification and food security, the All Farmers Association of Nigeria says mechanized farming is a prerequisite which they are ready to partner with the government to achieve. The national president of the association, Farouk Rabiu, stated this when he led a delegation of the association to the Nigerian Television Authority for partnership that will project agricultural policies and programs in the country.
Agriculture, the largest sector of the economy in Nigeria, employs about 2/3 of the labor force. However, farmers continue to experience little or less value of their produce. To overcome these challenges, the present government initiated several policies which include providing soft loans to farmers and banning importation of some food produce. This, the All Farmers Association of Nigeria says, is yielding results as the country increases rice production of its local consumption. To achieve more, the association says there's need to project government's policies and the association's programs through NTS platforms to reach out to farmers, especially women who engage mostly in the value chain of agricultural products.
Before the coming of Mr. President Muhammad Buhari, the rice production in Nigeria was at the level of 25% of our local consumption. Now we are producing up to 95% of our local consumption.
The Director News of NTA, who represented the Director General, says promoting agriculture remains one of NTA's key focus, and no country will survive without feeding itself.
Agriculture is also part of the economic sustainability plan that has been presented to the federal government aimed at post-COVID-19 recovery of the economy. So NTA is in tune with all these policies of government, and we intend to continue to focus and propagate whatever it is that would ensure food security in Nigeria.
With this partnership, it is expected that farmers, especially in the rural areas, will be reached.
Let's now join Asmao in Sokoto to take us through some stories on Nationwide. Asmao. To take us through some stories on.
Thank you, Ruth. Good evening and welcome to Sokoto. The 2020 National Dry Season Control of Transboundary Migratory Pest Control in 12 states of northern Nigeria has been flagged off in Kebbi State. The Minister of Agriculture, Muhammad Sabo Nanono, at the event in Birnin Kebbi emphasized the need for all hands to be on deck to checkmate any obstacle that will endanger food security at this global challenging period of coronavirus pandemic. Usman Abdullahi Shehu reports.
The 12 frontline states with the highest risks of transboundary migratory pests are Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Jigawa, and Yobe. Others are Kebbi, Katsina, Kano, Taraba, Sokoto, and Zamfara states. The Minister of Agriculture, Muhammad Sabo Nanono, while addressing the gathering, said migratory pests, which include quilla birds, locusts, and grasshoppers, have constituted serious threats to cereal crop production in the frontline states. The minister equally said a recent report of desert low-cost outbreak in East Africa and the Middle East, with the possibility of spillover into the West Africa, including Nigeria, necessitate Mr. President's directives to the ministry to take proactive measures.
This pest control, to which we have got a fast warning from the Food and Agricultural Organization, is the one, and we initiated dialogue with the presidency, as within a matter of 2 weeks, the president approved intervention to the extent of 13 billion naira to fight these menace.
Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, while flagging off the event, lauded President Muhammadu Buhari's agricultural policies and programs in the country.
For the first, more than at any time in its history, the federal government under President Muhammadu Buhari recognized that to achieve our goals in agriculture, all need to be mobilized.
Highlight of the event was a demonstration of the aerial spray exercise. In Birnin Kebbi, Usman Abdullah Shehu, NTA News.
The Zamfara State chapter of the All Progressives Congress has described the recent dissolution of the 14 local government councils elected on the platform of the party by Governor Bello Muhammad as a truncation of democracy in the third tier of government. The state chairman, Alhaji Lawal Liman Kaura, made the remarks while reacting to the development. Sadia Abubakar Tuno has more.
It be recalled that Governor Bello Muhammad recently dissolved the 14 local government councils in the state, following the recommendation of the State House of Assembly to that effect, and appointed sole administrators to steer the affairs of the councils. The state APC chairman, Alhaji Lawal Muhammad Liman, who reacted to the development, said the dissolution of the local government councils is illegal and unconstitutional. He described the action as a truncation of democracy in the third tier of government, which will not be accepted by the APC, stressing that the party will take legal action against the decision. The state APC chairman also observed that the appointment of politicians as sole administrators of the councils contravenes the provision of Zamfara State Local Government Law of 2012, which stipulates that a public servant on grade level 14 be appointed to steer the affairs of the councils in the event of unwanted eventualities. Responding, the Zamfara State PDP Publicity Secretary Alhaji Farooq Ahmed affirmed that the dissolution of the local government councils and the appointment of the sole administrators were done in accordance with the laid down rules and procedures. Alhaji Farooq Ahmed maintained that the action was long overdue and is in the best interest of the state. The dissolved local government councils were sworn in April 2019. In Gusau, Sadia Abubakar Chino, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's over to you, Ruth, for the rest of the news.
2019.
Reactions have continued to trail the increasing cases of rape and racism attacks on blacks in the United States in recent times. Well, this time from the Action Aid in conference to press the need to uphold human dignity and respect. Elizabeth Omori report.
Dressed in black with one common goal, to kick against dehumanizing acts such as racism. Their concern here is the attack on the late George Floyd that lasted almost 9 minutes, which they demonstrated in solidarity.
We can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Other areas of concerns include the incessant cases of rape, which the Action Aid Nigeria frowns at.
Blacks against blacks is another thing that we're looking at, and so Africa needs to re-examine itself. Our politicians need to pick up, because home is home. We have no other place to go but home. We need to enrich it so that we can reach out to the black race out there.
The law is very specific on what it is. So the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act has already put in place the punishment, and the maximum punishment is 14 years, right? For me and for Action Aid, we propose that maximum punishment should be what should be taken.
We think that government has done its best, but government need to do more to be able to come out of the plethora of problems that we have.
They also used the opportunity to call on parents to pay critical attention to behavioral changes in their children. The program is part of activities to commemorate the 2020 Day of the African Child, celebrated every June 16. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
And talking sports, Ministry of Youth and Sports Development assists the former Super Falcons coach Kadiri Kana to pay medical bills. Olumide Guntala will guide us on Sports Update.
Ministry of Youth and Sports Development under the leadership of Sunday Dare has supported Coach Kadri Kana financially for medical treatment. The sports minister maintained that the welfare of athletes, ex-international, and that of those who still represent Nigeria remains its priority, and the sports ministry will continue to be on the lookout to assist in any way it can, wishing Coach Kadri Kana a quick recovery. In another development, Sam Ocheo Invitational Handball Championship, which was initially built to hold this week, has been shifted to 2022 as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. Some handball clubs from western coast of Africa, such as Benin, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Niger Republic, and Togo, have earlier indicated interest to participate before the postponement.
We call on all our supporters, we call on all the clubs, we call on our fellow countries who have been our supporters to please pardon us. We all understand the situation around the globe right now.
Meanwhile, some professional handball players plying their trade overseas have reiterated their support to the development of the game, emphasizing that the federation cannot do it alone.
The growth and development of handball in Nigeria, we urge Nigerians to continue giving us their support.
The Nigerian Volleyball Coaches Association has joined the Confederation of African Volleyball in bridging the gap of imparting on its technical personnel coaches during this COVID-19 by organizing a Zoom seminar on high performance. The participants were taught the latest techniques that will improve the standard of the game of volleyball in Nigeria.
We are not going to fold our hands because there's a lot of things going on out there in the international scene that we need to be a part of.
Learned a lot of technical and tactical skills on service, defense, and attack formation.
The association is expected to organize more of the high performance seminars in line with the FIVB and CAVB requirements. With sports update, Olumide Guntola, NTA News.
We're done with the news. We do appreciate your time. Whatever you do, safety first. I'm Ruth Aguela. Bye.
Hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
I am Elizabeth Abadi. I am here to talk about facts. There is so much misinformation and distortion out there, especially on the social media. All it takes is just a click and the fake news goes viral. However, here in NTA, we deal with facts.
My job is to go out there and comb for factual news and information, just the way it is, all in the interest of the nation. I'm Naja'atu Tijani.
Here on the NTA, we present only the facts, verified. Beware of fake news, don't be a victim. Stay tuned to the NTA.
Especially at this time of the coronavirus pandemic.
My name is Nnamdi Ojipo.
Abuja, the place that unites Nigeria.
This is Mambila Plateau, a place in Nigeria endowed with enormous natural resources. The topography, the undulating plains, and exciting rock formations. The waterfalls and waterways are second to none. Said to be the highest point in Nigeria, Mambila Plateau is the home of the largest hydroelectricity project in West Africa. Mambila Plateau, a virgin beauty waiting to be exploited for tourism.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online, or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
I am Elizabeth Abadi. I am here to talk about facts. There is so much misinformation and distortion out there, especially on the social media. All it takes is just a click and the fake news goes viral. However, here in NTA, we deal with facts.
My job is to go out there and comb for factual news and information, just the way it is, all in the interest of the nation. I'm Najaa Tutijani.
Here on the NCA, we present only the facts, verified. Beware of fake news, don't be a victim. Stay tuned to the NCA.
Especially at this time of the coronavirus pandemic.
My name is Nnamdi Ojipo.
COVID-19 transmission is mostly through droplets from sneezing and saliva. The most effective way to protect yourself from the virus is to practice good personal hygiene. Wash hands with soap under running water or use an alcohol-based sanitizer if water is not available. Maintain at least 2 meters distance between yourself and anyone who is coughing or sneezing. Cover your mouth and nose with your elbow or tissue when you cough or sneeze. Dispose of the used tissue immediately. If you have traveled recently to a country with COVID-19 outbreak in the last 14 days and you have a fever, cough, or breathing difficulty, call NCDC toll-free numbers before going to the hospital. This message is from the National Orientation Agency.